and I think it's a good example for any, whether you're a comedian or a musician or an actor, you sort of took, and you've done this a lot in your career, I think, you've taken a lot of like the peripheral skills or associated skills, whether it's video editing or audio editing or social media marketing or any of those things. And if you haven't been able to be booked doing the exact thing you want, you've been able to use those skills so that you remain in the world, which I think like in the world of stand-up and in the world of comedy, versus having to always have a Joe job or to have to work a side hustle. And I think that's a great lesson for people to figure out in your avenue. If you're a musician, do you know how to run the sound system so that maybe you can run the sound for people? Or I know you were a doorman at some comedy clubs and comedy venues where you'd work the door, but then that would get you stage time as well. So
yeah, in LA and in Toronto, that was like kind of like a big thing where I would work the door. I think I worked the door at the Rivoli for like 5 years, and it's how, you know, I would never say that I have any sort of a following. Maybe back then I had more people who recognized me, and 99% of it, and I was working pretty regularly at Yucks too. 99% of it was from the Rivoli. Like it was like really one of the biggest like level up things in my career was working the door at the Rivoli.
Right. Yeah. Shout out to Morgan Flood too. He was involved booking that too.
Yeah. It really was a good time. Get to meet everybody, perform there. Yeah.
So tell us, how did you actually then I don't know, I forget what year it was. I want to say it was probably 2013-ish. You and Garrett actually opened up your own venue or revamped a venue at the Lower Ossington Theatre and turned it into the Lot Comedy Club. Can you explain how that came about? Because that was a big deal too.
Pretty much during North by Northeast, we went to the Lower Ossington Theatre, and I walked in there and I go, Barry, we got to run a club here. And then Barry was like, yeah, okay. So we just like, it was like that fast. It was within like 2 seconds. And we start talking with the guy who's involved there. And then Barry eventually is like, look, man, I'm like starting Comedy Records right now, and they want a pretty heavy cash commitment. Like there was no way out of it. They wanted money every night, every show. And he's like, I want to help, but I can't be a partner. And I go to him like, can I ask Garrett? And he's like, yeah, for sure. And then I asked Garrett, and then Garrett was like, yeah, I'm in. So now me and Garrett go and we talk to the Lot and we lock it down. We have our first show like August 25th or whatever it was, and it's locked in. We go to Comedy Bar that night to like celebrate or whatever. We're hanging out. Garrett comes up to me laughing and he's like, you got to meet this guy. And I'm like, who? And he introduces me to Rob Shimon. And Rob Shimon was outside having a cigarette, starts talking to Garrett about how he's filming a comedy special but needs a venue. And Garrett was like, I just started a comedy club today. And he was like, what? And I guess like what happened was something got lost in translation with Comedy Bar. Like it didn't work. I don't know what happened. So then Rob comes in, we start talking, we're showing Rob pictures, and he's like, this can't be real. We're like, no, man, like this is literally, we're starting this. So we ended up within like a day of deciding to open up, we had already locked in a TV show, which, you know, was a good show. But if you think about it, the show was fine, but we had 52 comics in Canada, okay, and they all made $1,000. So if you think about within the first 3 months, we put like $52,000 or $54,000, it was 54, I don't know, into comics pockets across Canada. And I was like, even if we stop right now, that's pretty cool. You know, like everyone got $1,000. It was straight up, like no funny business. It was like, here it is, come do your show. And there was obviously kinks that everyone was trying to figure out, but you know, to put the money in the pockets was pretty cool.
Yeah,
we ran that for a couple years.
That's incredible. That the Rob Shimon and it was called No Kidding. I don't know if there's a spot that people can still look that up, or maybe you Google No Kidding.
It might. I'm pretty sure it's still out there somewhere. Yeah.
And that was amazing because there's not a whole lot of that. There still isn't a whole lot of that going on in Canada. For prior to that, the only way that a Canadian comic would get a special would, you'd maybe get a gala eventually at Just for Laughs, or there was the Comedy Now specials, but they had stopped filming those. So that was the only way. Like, not only did they get paid, but at the end of it, they had a half-hour special that then they could shop around and show to bookers. So that was huge. Like it's a lot of comedians would spend thousands of dollars to produce and then film their own special just to have that as a calling card to book shows. So the fact that you were able to put that together, it was amazing. And funny story, I know we talked about it in the green room before the show tonight. I had, I believe, maybe my only comedy injury. And I say that maybe because often on stage I would be very physical on stage and very big and loud and very physical. So at the Lower Ossington Theatre, I remember it vividly because it was a Valentine's Day special. So it was all like Valentine's Day type material. It was all very well lit, everything red. It was all couples that were there. And somewhere I think it was in the beginning, it might have even been right when I came out, I would just do this big loud, like maybe I do the splits and like some sort of like rock star moves, some jumping splits. And I did I think I did jumping splits or some big high kick.
It was a high kick.
It was a high kick, sort of out towards the audience. And I felt like the biggest tweak in my hamstring.
No, but we heard the noise.
Oh, you heard it? Okay.
Yeah, we heard, okay. And then you like screamed and you're like, oh, my hamstring. And then you had to finish the set on a chair.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't stand. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, if we asked Garrett, I'm pretty sure we heard it from the back, like a pop or a rip or something.
That makes sense. Yeah.
You still finished that set? Holy shit.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I had my guitar, so I think the second half of the set was going to be planned sitting down on the guitar anyways. But,
no, it happened. Yeah, it was funny.
So, I mean, comedy, it's not just sports. Comedy you can get injured.
Yeah, you can high kick anywhere and hurt yourself.